number one goal for shooters and hunters is accuracy of their firearms. The biggest complaint from shooters and hunters is the lack of accuracy. It all comes down to consistency. Number one is consistency in your firearm. Number two is consistency in the ammunition. And number three is the consistency in the shooter. Now, what I'm going to do today is discuss some things you could do to improve all three of those areas so that your accuracy level will go up in both a rifle and a pistol. Now, when we're talking about consistency with your firearm, what I'm really talking about is a clean firearm. You want to be sure that you've got all the dirt and debris and deposits from powder and from your projectiles, which could be lead or copper or even brass, removed from the barrel, because without a clean barrel, that projectile doesn't go down the barrel evenly, and it can mean a dirty barrel could mean a miss of 6 inches at 100 yards, 12 inches at 200, and 18 at 300, which is a complete miss. If you're shooting at a deer at 300 yards with a dirty barrel, you're probably going to miss him. Now, what I want to do this afternoon is show you an easy and simple way to clean the debris and trash out of your gun and improve that accuracy. Okay, the very first thing we want to do is to, of course, make sure the gun's unloaded. If it's got a magazine attached, remove it. Open the bolt and remove the bolt. Check inside, look in the breech, physically feel in there, make sure there's no round stuck somewhere. Okay, the next thing you want to do, we want to use a brush that's made of brass or copper or nylon. Get this real close where you can see it, and we're going to dip it in hops number 9, and we're going to scrub this barrel. Okay, and if you have a gun that has some kind of decaling on it, a dip or something like that on the stock, you might want to be careful. You don't want to get this stuff on there. Now, I scrub back and forth with it, and this loosens the embedded particles in the rifling. Now, this is 5R rifling in this barrel, which doesn't take quite as much cleaning. Okay, the next step we're going to do is we're going to put a white clean patch on here. I prefer to use this kind of patch setup rather than a jag. A jag, found one right here. A jag is a little device that looks like this, and what you do is you stick the patch on here and you run it from the breech side to the barrel side, and then you take it off. My only problem with is sometimes that comes off and then I got a patch stuck in the barrel. So I prefer to use the little loop in like this and pull the patch through, and I'll get it done here in a second. There we go, like that. All right, and I dip that in hops. Now, it's going to get a little messy, so you got to be careful with it. Again, come in through the breech. Now, some people use a guide that goes in here. I don't happen to have one, but you want to be careful going in and make sure that you're not beat against the chamber of the throat of that barrel. Now, I don't know if you can see this. I'll turn this where you can. The amount of debris and stuff that come out of there after scrubbing, and I thought I had a clean barrel, but there it is. Now, you want to do this every time you're through shooting, and you want to go from the breech to the barrel, remove the dirty patch, and start all over again. And the reason why is because you don't want to drag what you've cleaned out of here back through that barrel again. So we're gonna do one more time. We're gonna run a patch in through this little loop, and sometimes it's a pain in the rump. If your patches are too thick or too big, you'll find it kind of tight in the bore, and you don't want that. On a 308, I use a 2x2 cotton patch. It looks like t-shirt material. All right, I'm gonna dip it one more time, and I'm gonna run it through. Okay, you want to do this till the patch comes out clean. Once it comes out clean, now that's fairly clean right there. I'll go with that for right now. Okay, next thing you want to do after you remove that is you can dry patch it, and you can go backwards with that, because all you're doing is removing the moisture out of the barrel. You don't ever want to store the gun with moisture in the barrel, whether that's cleaning fluid or anything else. You want your barrel to be dry and free of anything. Now, there's one last thing that you want to do occasionally after some heavy shooting matches. especially after heavy shooting matches, is to run some copper cleaner in there. This is the one made by Hops. It's called Hops number 9 Black. It is high performance copper cleaner. I've got some other brands that I use. But you put this in the barrel and leave it for a few minutes, and it will start dissolving the copper that's built up in the lands and grooves of your rifling. Now, you clean till the cloth comes out clear. While the copper is being removed, the cloth will come out a green color. And then, of course, this Hops number 9 that I use for cleaning all my guns. This is really great for removing the powder and nitro that's in there. One thing too, when you're using this copper cleaning solution, you want to use some kind of light rubber glove, because this is toxic. You should not get this on your hands, and you will. So use some rubber gloves. Folks, there's one other area of cleaning I haven't talked about, and that's the action of the gun. That's areas other than the barrel. Your bolt, your breech, your carrier bolt. These are good. These gun sprays that have cleaning fluid in them and also a lubricant are good for quick clean on those types of things. Now, a more thorough clean means breaking it all down and scrubbing and all that. And one last thing, when you're done cleaning, give your gun a good coat of rim oil is what I like. It's not a real oily oil, but some kind of gun oil. Put it on the barrel, put it in the barrel, just a very light coating if your gun's going to be stored for a while, to prevent any kind of rust or corrosion. Okay, one last little bit of information about cleaning, then I'll move on. If you're in a heavy shooting session, you might want to clean that barrel after every 10 or 15 shots, especially if you start seeing that your accuracy is degrading. And if you have a new firearm, I don't care what anybody says, breaking in the barrel is a good idea. And that essentially means what I just described, scrubbing and cleaning after every 5 shots for at least the first 30 or 40 shots. Now, there's different methods of breaking in. I use a 200 shot method. I clean after every shot of the first 10 shots, and then every 5 shots, and work it on up from there. I've had great success with that, but it takes time at the range, because you don't want to shoot a barrel hot. You have to let it cool. It takes time, usually over a couple days, but you end up with a very accurate, long-lasting barrel. And that's the other thing. You don't clean, your barrel's not going to last. Now, there's several aspects of having accuracy with the ammunition. First and foremost, whatever you sight your rifle in for hunting season, go and buy at least 3 boxes of that same ammunition, and if possible, with the same lot number. This way, when you sight in, you'll be consistent in the type of ammunition that you use. And that is the key. Use the same ammunition over and over. The difference between the impact point of a 150 grain bullet versus a 170 grain bullet can mean several inches at a couple of 100 yards, maybe even 12 to 15 inches. So it's important. The impact point on different bullet weights and different brands of bullets, different brands of cartridges, will make a huge difference in the consistency and the accuracy. Now, these are all 308 cartridges. They look very similar, but you've got a huge difference. This one is 110 grain flat nose. This one is 150 grain round nose. This is 168 grain. This is 180 grain. That's 170, and that one, I don't know what that is. It's just in the batch. All too often, that last one, I don't know what it is what a lot of hunters end up with. And whatever you do, don't mix them in your gun. If you're not sure what you've got, at least put the same bullet in your magazine, the same cartridge in your magazine, so that you've got 5 or 6 that are consistent. So when you miss the first 2 times, you know where to shoot the 3rd and 4th. Now, folks, here's the 3rd and final step to improving your accuracy, and it's the hardest part. It's you, the shooter. You have to practice. You have to practice in the position you're going to shoot. You're going to have to practice with the firearm you're going to shoot. You got to get used to the scope. You have to practice. You have to know where that bullet's going to go when it comes out. You can clean the gun to ensure the gun's right. You can get the right ammunition to be sure it's right. But if you don't practice good, consistent techniques, then you're not going to have the accuracy that you ought to have when you're out in the field hunting. And let's face it, folks, as hunters, it's our responsibility to make clean, effective shots so that we're not chasing a wounded animal through the night. And if you do these things, I think you're going to have a whole lot more enjoyable hunting season.